Okay, so I'm going to show you an example of comparing 2 years. As I mentioned in class, we didn't do an example on that. We only focused on 1 year just for simplicity. But on your homework, you will see on page 61, problem 3.7, which I will also upload this worksheet for you to start doing. This here will actually help you in figuring out the comparison year 2000 with the year 2020. Now it does mention to use the 4-step travel demand modeling procedure to calculate the travel demand on the 3 links in a 3-zone transportation network shown in example 3.7, the figure that's in your textbook. Use information on table example 3.71, and those 3.71 are these figures here. Well, not this is actually given to you as well too, but these figures here that are in green. Now, on the following horizon year 2020 trip production and attraction models are given as follows here, as shown in the formula. So those are the ones that you're going to be actually using. The impedance function, which is given as the travel time to the negative 0.5 power, which is in your textbook, are between zones 1 and J. The calibrated utility functions for auto and transit are also given in your textbook. And you will also do the same exact things as we did for the utility function in the examples that were given in class. Now I will also upload the solutions to the other problems that we didn't have time to do in class, so you can actually take a time and review those as well. But I want to take a time here and go over that you do have your dependent variables here, which on these dependent variables you do have x1 as being for cars and x2 for households, x3 employment, and x4 commercial area in acres. You do have the travel time for 2000 and the travel time for 2020. Now I have the same dependent variables on here, just copied and pasted here. These are the tables that we actually went over in class. Now here, you are actually going to figure out, which I already have in here for C12, which is C12 here, to the negative 0.5 power. So you'll do the same thing for travel time 2000 as well as travel time 2020. So you will actually be using that for your friction factor for all. Now for your attractions, and to figure out your productions for each of the 3 zones, you will go ahead and calculate it using this formula. So that formula there, you would actually use it to figure out your productions and your attractions. So for the attractions, for example, since we're going to be using it here, you would go ahead and use 30 plus 1.27 times x3, which is 880. The same thing, continue on x4, 5,230. So when you calculate these attractions here, for each zone, 1, 2, and 3, they will be inputted here, all the same. The same ones that you calculate here will be placed in this second column here in these tables. Now for the productions, you'll do the same thing here. So you would go ahead and use 10 plus 2.21 multiplied by x1, and then 1.3 times x2. And you do that for zone 1, zone 2, and zone 3. So you place these here, and these will be placed here, here, and here, which in terms should be the total for zone 1 table, zone 2 table, and also zone 3 table. Now, continuing on with that, you would be able to figure out all the rest here. We've done that in class. Just note, for the first time around, your K value is all going to equal 1. Okay? Now, once you have all of these values, you would go ahead and put it in your calculated matrix table. Your observed, which is given to you, is the one that is in D, table D, in your textbook on page 60. This is given to you. This is what you need to create. So once you create both of these here, you have your observed and you have your calculated, then when you look back into your K factor, now a K factor we've been using 1 for all of them for the examples that we've been doing in class. However, in your textbook, your K value on page 43, here, the K values here, which will be your adjusted factors, which those will be used for your 2020 K values, will be your observed. When we're looking at your observed demand values over calculated values. So in other words, on page 43, you will see the K factor, which is T observed over T calculated, and you would actually use your observed over your calculated, meaning you have your observed here, so you'll have 680 for the very first one here. You have 680 divided whatever number you get here for your calculated, which these calculations you would also get for this column here should be this column here. Same answers. This column here should be the answers you get here, and this column here should be the answers you get here. So that's how you'll get your observed over your calculated into this adjusted factor. So with all these adjusted factors, then you would go ahead and do the same thing what we did here, formulated. Now I had some of my numbers here formulated here that you would actually put it on attractions and productions and recalculate these in order to find your 2020 trip matrix table, your final table. So that's how you would actually calculate when you compare both years. The only difference is your adjusted factors. And the reason why we didn't do this in class, it's because it's time consuming. As you saw, it's very time consuming just to do 1 year, let alone to figure out your adjusted factors for your K values to be inputted in here and redo what we did here again. So that is a part for the trip generation portion in problem 3.7. Now the rest for the utility function, all you do is go ahead and input the cost for and the time for those. Now for those auto and time, you are given other tables there. I want you to look over those. Those are the extra tables on page 61, which is given to you the example 3.72. So those are given to you. All you do is input it in the utility function in order to find out the travel time by auto and the travel time by transit for all those origins. And just to find your utility function and the percentages, same exact procedure that we did in class. So that doesn't change. The only thing that is different on this problem is just the adjustment factor on this, and you would just do these twice again. Please let me know if you have any questions. You can email me or come and see me in my office hours or during class when we can also discuss this if you like on Friday.